Hi everyone, I'm Pearl, and today I'm going to be making the second out of 4 dresses for camp. Today I'm going to be making the morning dress, so it'll be all black. And I am deferring a little bit from historical things where I'm going to be adding lace, even though in a morning period they wouldn't be wearing lace. I've already washed the sheets that I bought, and we are going to start with making the skirt as usual. Oh, and here is the inspiration that I'm taking from.
For this video and dress, I have mostly time-lapse, so you're going to hear a lot of my voice-over voice from, 2 years in the future. But the dress is pretty simple since it is a morning gown. Everything had to be more symbolized. That's also why I shouldn't be adding lace, but I really wanted to. But yeah, you can see me here just folding the black fabric. I'm trying to make it nice and flat as I can so that I can get the biggest circle possible when I cut it out. All of these skirts are just circle skirts, so they're really simple, and then with the little baby cut out. Unfortunately, you can see me here setting up my mannequin for the skirt, but it was not long enough. As you can see from the bottom, there's like 2 inches of the petticoat that shows underneath, which normally I wouldn't mind, but since this is supposed to be an all-black ensemble, I did care for it this time. What I ended up doing was I cut out the waistband, and then I am going to cut out slits. So you can see me cut out slits here. These will go up to the top of the waistband so that I can add ruffly pleats, as you can see, since that was the style and I didn't want to not have that and just have a laid down waistline. To elongate the hem of the skirt, I simply measured out the circumference of the bottom. So I folded it in half and then I doubled my measurement. And now I'm just cutting out really, really long strips of fabric that will be long enough to cover the bottom of that hem. So as you can see, I just measured it out. So I am just cutting up a bunch of rectangles, of course getting rid of that nasty hem. But it's fun sometimes with making these projects where you can rip the fabric. So I definitely did that as much as I could because it ensured that the line was straight as well. And I simply sewed it on to the hem of the skirt. The reason why most of all of this video is going to be time lapses is because I started to feel the pressure build up from not having much time left. And so instead of going back and editing while I was recording the videos, I just recorded them to be finished at a later date. But of course, I never really got back around to it, so here we are 2 years later. And for anyone who this is their first video that they're watching, in the background you can see the brown dress that I made from the last video. So if you're interested, please go and check that out. It's a lot of fun, I promise. For for the strips, since I had to cut out so many of them, I sewed them all together with my serger, and then I went through and I serged the end and on the other end onto the serger itself. Sorry, serger, hello? Onto the skirt itself. Then, of course, referring back to that time pressure that I had, I was able to ask my mom to help me serge the ends to make sure it was all nice. While she helped me with that, I went along and I started cutting out the next section. In theory, I'm cutting out the waistband here, but someone really needs to turn the TV off because I am getting so very distracted. But honestly, I was watching The Office, so I don't blame me. It's a really good show. But I simply cut out a strip that was long enough to fit around my body, and I doubled it over so that I could make sure that it looked nice. The extra square because I realized I needed to be able to button on the skirt, so I needed an extra little square. Then I serged it all together, while my mom helped me on the other side continue to sew together and roll hem the entire skirt length. After I sewed it together, I make sure to iron it flat, and then I took it to my sewing machine and I sewed that waistband onto the skirt. Of course, after all of that sewing, I decided to try it on the mannequin and hope that the length that I added was enough to cover the rest of that petticoat. And as you can see, it was just enough. So after that, I started to pattern out the bodice similar to last time, except this time I really wanted it to have a different shape, so the seams are different. Then I cut it out of my black fabric, and here I am sewing it all together. One thing I do suggest doing, which I did not do, was having notches or little marks to ensure that your seams are aligned. I don't normally do that in my sewing, but you should, because it helps a lot in double checking that everything is aligned properly. I just don't do that because I think I'm so special and it's gonna turn out differently and correctly, even if I don't do what you're supposed to do. Do it as I say, not as I do. But alas, I am trying it back onto the mannequin to double check that it fits and looks nice. It was about there that I realized I didn't know how I wanted to finish the hem of it, since I wanted the bodice to lay on top of the dress and not underneath like the rest of the other dresses. Kind of. Anyway, to do this, I didn't really go for a full lining. What I did was I traced out the shape of the bottom of the bodice, and then I cut it out and I sewed that on with some interfacing to ensure structure. After that, I did a couple test runs, and then I started putting in all of the buttonholes onto the bodice. I did end up finding a buttonhole foot. If you watched the last video, I don't know if I mentioned it in the undergarments video or in the brown dress video, but in one of them I mentioned how I didn't have a buttonhole maker. Well, my aunt came over and she was like, actually, you do have one, and showed me how to use it. So that was very exciting. The red slip of paper there are all of the different sewing designs that my machine has, because I lost the paper that told me what it was. So here we have the buttonholes and the buttons. This time I also glued it before I cut the buttonholes, which helped a lot. Now we're gonna cut those sleeves, and I'm cutting a little bit in the middle because I'd like to add the lace there. I want to add a little fluff of lace, so it's going to go there instead of just laying on top. And I added a little bit of a, goodness, what's it called? A scalloped edge. I added a little bit of a scalloped edge to those ends, to the hems of the sleeve. Gosh, I'm running out of words. You know, what else would be really helpful is if I scripted the videos before I voiced over them. Nah, we keep it organic. Here, I'm just taking a while to add in that interfacing. You can kind of see that I have like a tape, but I found that it was the best sticking one that I had. And I am just adding structure to the edge of the bodice with that interfacing so that there doesn't have to be any lines which are sewn, and it's kind of like a glue with adding structure as well. You can see how it stands up after I add the interfacing. Now that the interfacing is all ironed in, I decided to try it on real quick, and yes, it fit. Here are all of the nicer buttonholes. Definitely put in the fray check or glue before you cut it. This is the lace that I have. I think it is gorgeous. This lace is actually from Spain. I had gone on a school trip with my Spanish teacher and a couple other students, and then she ended up going back. While I was there, I bought some laces and trims because they were so gorgeous, and I definitely wanted to use some of them in the project for these dresses. But the one that I ended up using it on, I didn't buy at the time. Miss Kuklish, my teacher, had gone back to Spain, messaged me, "Hey, I'm back at Spain. Do you want anything?" And I was like, actually, yeah, if there's any scalloped black lace, I would really like to add that to the project. And she ended up finding some, and when I dog sat her dogs, she brought it over to me, and boom, we got some very, very pretty black lace with a little bit of history added into these historical gowns. Here you can just see me ensuring that all of that lace is going to stay down and not flip up while I'm wearing it. So I'm just adding a very simple stitch into the fabric. Then, of course, we have to take the sleeves and sew them onto the rest of the bodice. So I'm just doing that really quickly here. And then, after that's done, we are all done with the dress.
Well, when we're done, can you send me all the photos? I just need to remember to send this one specifically to Miss Kuklish because she got me this black lace from Spain.